Caddyshack looked like pure chaos on screen, the kind of untamed energy only the late 70s could produce. The smell of cut grass, cheap beer, and summer heat still lingers in the memory of everyone who first watched it on worn-out VHS tapes with fading cardboard sleeves. Back when comedies didn't use safety coordinators or HR departments, when studios handed films to young directors and said, "Go make something wild." Behind every laugh was danger and a level of madness that modern productions could never allow. What audiences never knew was how close this film came to burning down, breaking up marriages, destroying friendships, and nearly killing several cast members. These are 20 facts about Caddyshack that reveal what really happened behind the chaos. Fact number 1, the script barely existed, which forced the greatest improvisers of the era to become instant survivalists on set. When Harold Ramis arrived in Florida, he didn't have a finished screenplay. He was carrying loose pages, handwritten jokes, and scenes that were still missing their endings. This was before digital script revisions, back when improvisation wasn't a stylistic choice, it was a necessary survival tool. The cast would meet in the morning, sharing coffee that tasted like mud, and create lines on the spot, building the comedy entirely from instinct and timing. Chevy Chase and Bill Murray improvised their entire iconic scene together in one take because nothing had been written for them. This chaos was the bedrock of the entire project, forcing legendary actors to operate without a net, relying on the kind of raw spontaneity that digital editing would eventually make extinct. Fact number 2, Rodney Dangerfield, in his first major film role, genuinely panicked because the crew wasn't laughing at his jokes. Dangerfield was a king of the smoky nightclub stage, a world where laughter was the only currency that mattered. This was his first major film role. When he delivered his jokes on set and was met with absolute silence from the camera operators and grips, he thought he was bombing. He didn't know the rigid, old-school rule. Film crews weren't allowed to react during takes. On the third day of shooting, he pulled Ramis aside and whispered his terror, "I think they hate me." Ramis had to explain that silence meant success, not failure, a shock to a man who came from a world where laughter was the only currency. Back then, stand-up comics weren't treated like celebrities. Fact number 3, the elegance of Chevy Chase's golf swing on screen was a complete illusion, hiding a painful back injury that was never allowed to stop production. Chase was supposed to be the film's smooth, effortlessly cool center, but the elegant golf swing he displayed was pure illusion. He barely played golf in real life. During one scene, he twisted wrong, felt something crack, and collapsed behind a hedge. This was before modern safety protocols. Back when 70s sets rarely paused for a physical injury, Chase simply got up, took aspirin like candy, and kept filming. The dazzling, seemingly perfect character he created was built on a real physical cost that nobody watching in the packed theaters that summer ever knew about. Fact number 4, the famous scene-stealing gopher was never supposed to be an animatronic puppet. It was only created months after the rest of the film wrapped. The original production planned to use a real, trained animal on the Florida golf course. That plan failed almost instantly. The creature would freeze whenever cameras rolled. This was back when filmmakers had to pivot immediately when reality rejected their vision. After the main filming was complete, producers hired a puppet team to build the iconic animatronic gopher. Every single gopher scene was then shot months later in a dark warehouse that smelled of dust, cigarettes, and old reels. A world away from the sunlit golf course the rest of the film used. Fact number 5, the oppressive Florida heat reached triple digits daily, leading to fainting extras and constant equipment failure that the crew simply had to endure. The July shooting location was brutally hot, hitting triple digits daily. Actors had to wear long pants because golf etiquette demanded it, leading to polyester shirts soaking through before breakfast. Extras fainted. This was before the strict hydration rules of modern sets. People were simply expected to endure. The humidity was so intense it caused the film cameras to fog up, forcing constant resets. Crew members would stand off camera with fans made of cardboard, waving desperately to keep the cast from melting under set lights. Fact number 6, Bill Murray filmed every single one of his memorable scenes in a mere 6 days, arriving on set with no script and no plan. Murray showed up between his Saturday night live commitments with no idea what he was supposed to do. This was the ultimate expression of the era's spontaneous filmmaking. Ramis didn't give him pages, he simply pointed at props, a pitchfork, plastic explosives, a hose, and said, "Make something funny." Murray improvised nearly every moment, including the instantly iconic Dalai Lama monologue, which came from a story he told backstage at comedy clubs years earlier. Fact number 7, the tension between Bill Murray and Chevy Chase on set was real, stemming from their infamous physical fight backstage at Saturday Night Live. The two comedic giants genuinely hated each other when they arrived to shoot the film. The animosity was a carryover from their infamous backstage fight on SNL. This meant that when they had to film their single, improvised scene together, crew members watched nervously from behind trees. But because of their shared history and training, the two men quickly eased into old rhythms, trading barbs that teetered perfectly between comedy and confrontation. Fact number 8. Michael O'Keefe nearly suffered from heat stroke while filming the final golf tournament scenes because of an authentic but suffocating wool costume. O'Keefe, playing Danny Noonan, wore a wool sweater vest, an authentic country club style, from a rental house that still smelled of mothballs. Under the punishing July sun, that wool trapped heat like insulation. O'Keefe could barely breathe and nearly passed out during the climax of the tournament. Between takes, he stood in the shade, drinking warm water from plastic jugs that had been sitting in the grass since sunrise. Fact number 9. Ted Knight, playing Judge Smales, despised the entire improvisation process and viewed the younger, looser cast as undisciplined punks. Knight came from old-school television, where actors hit marks, said lines, and respected structure. He viewed the spontaneous chaos, the loose script, and the constant improvising of the younger cast as undisciplined punks. Between takes, he muttered insults under his breath. During the chaotic lunch breaks, where the rest of the cast drank beer and played music, Knight sat entirely alone with a paperback novel. This conflict was a living symbol of the generational divide happening in Hollywood at the time. Fact number 10. The explosions in the final scene were so massive they nearly shut down the entire production, rattling windows across the entire town. The climax of the film required massive charges to be detonated across the golf course. While local authorities had granted permission for the pyrotechnics, nobody had fully grasped just how big the blast would be. When the pyrotechnics team detonated everything, windows rattled across the town. One explosion scorched nearby trees. The fire marshal immediately arrived and threatened to shut the entire production down. This was back when practical effects meant real risk and real disaster. Fact number 11. The scandalous Baby Ruth in the pool scene caused an unexpected logistical nightmare for the crew. The disgusting premise of the iconic scene was simple, but the reality of executing it was complicated. The candy bar floated wrong, dissolving slowly, leaving streaks that stained the pool lining. This was back when filmmakers had to solve problems immediately with limited resources. Crew spent hours trying to scoop the pieces out with nets designed for leaf removal. However, the sticky mess clogged the nets instantly. What became one of the film's most quoted gags was a sticky, frustrating disaster for the people who had to clean it up repeatedly. Fact number 12. The film nearly shut down completely due to animal rights protests who misunderstood the satirical nature of the gopher storyline. Although absolutely no animals were harmed, the gopher was a puppet, remember? Protesters misunderstood the gopher storyline. For 2 full days, production vans were blocked by people holding homemade signs, painted with house paint that dripped in the heat. This was back when activists could physically shut down a production just by showing up on location, before modern court-ordered injunctions and buffer zones were commonplace on film sets. Fact number 13. Cindy Morgan filmed her famous massage scene with Bill Murray while suffering intense, hidden pain from an earlier, untreated back injury. Morgan suffered intense pain filming the massage scene. Her back injury from an earlier stunt flared under the pressure of the scene's blocking. Ramis, the director, didn't know. This was an era when actors often worked through serious injuries rather than risk being replaced. Morgan pushed through every take with teeth clenched, delivering a performance that masked her suffering completely. Fact number 14. The famous pool scene was shot in water that was dangerously overchlorinated, forcing a lifeguard to warn the director that people could get seriously hurt. Regulations for chlorination weren't followed correctly. The result was water that burned eyes and made breathing difficult for the cast and extras. Several extras coughed uncontrollably between takes. One lifeguard, who had been hired for safety, pulled Ramos aside and delivered a frightening warning. Nobody should be in that water for more than 5 minutes. This was before stringent modern health codes for location shooting, showcasing the physical danger accepted by performers back then. Fact number 15. A real physical fight broke out on set between two extras over a simple bet, leading to a visible disruption on the meticulously maintained golf course. A real fight broke out on set between two extras. It started over a bet made during downtime and escalated when one man accused the other of cheating. By the time crew intervened, both men had rolled down a grassy slope, tearing up part of the fairway. The groundskeeper had begged the production to protect that fairway. This unexpected real-world conflict perfectly mirrored the chaotic, untamed energy of the film itself. Fact number 16. Harold Ramis burned out completely while filming the final sequence, collapsing from a lethal combination of stress, heat, and non-stop chaos. The pressure from the studio, the heat, the endless improvisation, and the sheer chaos stretched Ramis thin. This was before the industry had fully acknowledged director burnout as a critical risk. One morning, he arrived with shaking hands and admitted he had slept less than 3 hours over the previous 2 days. His exhaustion shaped the film's final form. Raw, unfiltered, and slightly delirious, a perfect accidental reflection of the entire manic production. Fact number 17. Rodney Dangerfield's dancing scene was more dangerous than funny, as he nearly required hospitalization after losing his balance. In the famous sequence where Dangerfield dances wildly, the strobe lights disoriented him, causing him to lose balance and hit the DJ booth with his shoulder. This was back when practical effects like strobes were simply set and activated, without modern consideration for performer safety. He laughed through it, but his arm swelled for days, a serious, unseen injury hidden behind a beloved comedic moment. Fact number 18. The chaotic night shoots quickly devolved into massive all-night parties, leading to repeated calls to the police from angry locals. This was before strict production oversight, long before HR departments monitored behavior. The night shoots became a party, with cast and crew gathering with coolers of beer, loud music, and lawn chairs. Some nights lasted until sunrise. While this energy fed the film's manic tone, it created tension with locals who called police repeatedly. Fact number 19. A messy love triangle involving two cast members created major off-screen drama that was overheard by the entire crew. The love triangle storyline caused real tension off-screen. Two cast members fell into a brief relationship that ended abruptly when one discovered the other was secretly dating someone else on production. Their dramatic breakup occurred in a trailer with thin walls, and the entire crew heard every word. This was a classic example of the private world of a film set before social media could expose everything, colliding with the intense human emotion of the people making the movie. Fact number 20. Caddieshack was almost entirely forgotten when it was first released, being dismissed by critics as messy and immature. When the film first opened, critics dismissed it as messy and immature. But back in that era, when films stayed for months and laughter echoed through enormous 500-seat capacity crowds, audiences simply packed theaters during that summer. Over time, word of mouth transformed it. VHS rentals wore out from constant play. Today, the film stands as a chaotic relic from an era when comedies were dangerous, unpredictable, and powered by human insanity rather than digital perfection. Those who lived in that era remember why it mattered. The film was a beautiful disaster from start to finish. It was too loud, too chaotic, and too unpredictable for the critics who were used to structure. But audiences who packed theaters during that summer, back when films dominated the national conversation and everyone experienced them together, they understood the manic spirit immediately. Caddyshack wasn't trying to be polished, it was trying to be funny, and it was willing to risk everything to get there. It lives on today as a shared cultural memory. A comedy that required real physical suffering and behind-the-scenes madness to achieve its signature tone. A film built on the raw, unfiltered talent of actors who operated without a net before safety became the first consideration. For those who lived in that era and remember why that kind of dangerous, anarchic comedy mattered, Caddyshack will always be more than just a movie. It's a testament to the way they used to make them.